Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Brewing with Birch and Bromley. We are going to be providing you a much different, in my opinion, experience than you'd be used to in a UFS YouTube podcast type series thing. Not necessarily just interviewing everybody in the entire world and trying to get their perspective on things, because I believe we provide a pretty good experience ourselves, just chatting about
stuff.
Yeah, chatting about stuff, things, life,
yeah, dude.
Experiences, life
Heavy.
Experiences, coronavirus.
That's a unique thread to go along there. It's topical though, and that's the important bit.
That is important,
Yeah.
Especially since I live in the state with the least amount of coronavirus, and you live in the state with the most amount of coronavirus. So we both provide very unique perspectives on it. Though I am glad to hear that you haven't gone to any beaches lately, and you seem respectable and smart enough to wear a mask.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're getting a lot of the no mask wearing beach goers in Michigan these days. So
should I put them on right now? Just
your mask? Oh, you've got a good mask too. Oh, you got like 17 masks. That's pretty smart because you have the most COVID. I like it. I love it. Yes, that's perfect. Mine's in my car, I think. I don't really know. Over yonder?
Yeah.
It's either over yonder or in the car. It's fine. I don't really need it in my house. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's been wild. For sure. Like, anytime I go to the supermarket, I'm like trying to, it's like a playing dodgeball, right?
I imagine.
Except the projectiles are like between 5 and 6 feet and human shaped.
Oh,
yeah.
And also they're all like spewing everywhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I bet that you are the one getting the weird looks.
For sure.
For wearing the mask. I would bet that you are getting the weird looks.
Yeah, almost definitely. There was some guy who was like, oh man, I was getting out of my car and he walked out, like stormed out of the alcohol store, liquor store, whatever. And he like did not have a mask on. He was like, fuck this piece of shit. Can't believe in a mask. He like points at me. He's like, hey, you have an extra mask? And I was like, no.
No, these are for me, bro.
Yeah, and he was like, where do I get a mask? I need a mask so I can buy liquor. And he just, I was like, I don't know, man. Like the gas station, ordered online. I don't actually know where my masks materialized from. Like I had a bunch from like woodworking and stuff like that.
Smart.
Where did you get your masks from?
My fabric mask was provided to me by work. Other than that, my boss just bought a shit ton of those like surgical masks or whatever, and so we just have a bunch of I just wear a bunch of surgical masks at work. Lately, we've been to people who don't have masks because obviously like we're like you have to wear it or else you get fined. We've been we just have a shit ton of bandanas behind the bar from like random like beer companies and shit because like at a bar you just get a bunch of stuff from like distributors for free.
Yeah. So
we've just been handing out like Deep Eddy vodka bandanas to everybody.
I hope they enjoy it.
Honestly, I've had more people who have masks see me hand them out and go, hey, yo, man, that's pretty cool. Can I get one of those? Than me actually handing them out to people who need them.
Right.
But it's super serious here because like if we get caught or whatever by like some kind of sting operation or whatever the hell they're going to do for coronavirus, if we have like just a bunch of people just fucking around with no masks, they can just take our liquor license and fine like everybody $500 a piece.
Jesus.
Yeah, our governor's not fucking around.
Good, because our governor is what's the word? An idiot.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I've seen the videos, man. No worry. I know all about the Floridians right now.
Yeah.
And I imagine I feel like I don't really know how Florida works because I always pictured like the farther south you go, the more like civilized it goes. Because I've had family from like I think it's like the Tallahassee area, and boy, that's not a real place. That's just a lot of rednecks.
Yeah,
that's Mississippi adjacent. Like,
yeah, it gets more Hispanic the deeper south you go in Florida. So, but the weird thing is that like there's so many different Hispanic cultures. Like the Cubans are really conservative, but like then you have all of the like Venezuelans, Colombians, Central American countries that are a little more liberal. But the one unifying factor is that they're all Catholic.
Yes, of course.
100% of them.
You gotta be Catholic. Gotta love Jesus.
Well, some of the Cubans are they. Oh my God, what's the word? Santeros. They're called santeros, and they worship like saints. So they're still Christian, right? But they have like statues of like saints from Christianity, and they like kill chickens as sacrifices to these saints.
Yeah, it's like that's the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah, dude, to see them around, like you're like, oh, it's a santero, man.
Wait, like you can actually like point them out, kind of?
Oh
like,
yeah, you can.
That's a crazy motherfucker that worships.
You can go through like a neighborhood and like if you see like a guy's front yard that has like 15 statues of like Mary, Joseph, and like I don't know, Saint Christopher or whatever every saint under the sun. Those are santeros.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess kind of jumping off the entire nation's fucked thing. We could bounce right into how fucked do you think I guess UFS is right now? I guess Universus. Do we call it Universus now? Is that the terminology? Because their Facebook page is also still UFS, Universal Fighting System. So I'm confused on what I'm supposed to call it as a person who's old.
I think you wonder which one is the dead game, right?
Yeah, which one's the dead game at this point?
Like Universus is supposed to replace UFS, but UFS just had a retro tournament.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. UFS had the retro tournament, and as far as I know, officially there have only been maybe 2 sets of Universus cards, and they're both starter packs or whatever.
Yeah, and like they're not like it's not a TCG, right? It's a living card game because you buy specific things and you get specific things.
Yeah. So it's basically playing versus system now.
Yeah, dude. So totally different from UFS, right? Completely different games. But one of them is dead and one is not. We have to decide which one it is.
It's the deciding factor, but I'm gonna go with UFS is still alive because the Facebook page is still UFS.
Okay, it is official. It says UFS.
It is the official site of UFS as opposed to Universus just being side mentioned and never coming out. But I guess realistically, like, did you see in like the scope of this whole year, like, because obviously we were both at Worlds shortly before, I guess not necessarily before the coronavirus, but before shit got fucked up.
Yeah, before it got nuts.
Did you see like it going this particular way? I guess like what did you think was going to happen? Like, because I know you were scheduled to go to like the PTC right after Worlds. You had bought like a plane ticket or something for the cheap to go to like was it Sacramento?
Yeah, it was Sacramento.
And then they were like, no. None of that. And then it slowly kind of built into the none of that, but like for the whole year. And I guess I never thought it was going to go that far. Like initial like response in my point of view was, okay, I'm going to miss like the first couple months of PTCs, but then in summer I'll be able to kick it back off, go to Atlanta, go to like Omaha, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I will admit that like I didn't take it as seriously as I probably should have, especially for somebody who gets the flu like twice a year.
Right.
But then the case just kept exploding, and then it just kept exploding and kept exploding. So I understand why they canceled them. Just because,
it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it had to happen. Half of the people that go to every PTC are all taking planes to get there anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, encouraging that seems like not a good look.
Yeah, and then you have to think about how close contact, I guess, everything is. Like, I'm not going to say I necessarily got, like, corona or whatever, but, like, shortly afterwards, I got fairly sick with, like, a flu. But, like, everybody at my job had a flu.
Right.
Like, none of us had like the symptoms of like shortness of breath and stuff like that, but it was like, wow, is this it? Is this the end? Like, did I get the corona? Was it Vegas? Did I bring this here? And it's like, sheesh. Like looking back, it was like, wow, that was probably not the best idea to go to a packed convention right before this all kicked off,
Right. Well, I mean, like at the time, it was very localized to Wuhan, right? Like we had just gotten like one case.
Yeah, it was like a very sparse thing that we had. Yeah.
Yeah, we like, but yeah, I think that these online events have been filling that void for me, like for my local stuff. Right? I don't know if you're you're playing in locals or like that, but I'm not at all. I cut that out entirely. So
I don't have a local play group anyway, Bromley.
Fair enough.
Bromley, we haven't had a store tournament. Like, okay, sorry, I'll take that back. They were doing store tournaments about an hour away from me.
I see.
A small group that none of us had ever met before was doing it, and then like we traveled to like the Yu Yu Hakusho pre-release there, and like, they had like a tournament afterwards or some shit. We actually did that. So I have been to a store tournament, but I've not had one like a personal like store or local play group scene in like almost the entirety of me playing this game. It's really a miracle that I still play a game that I have no play group for, really.
Yeah, but to be fair, like I feel like if you had to play, like you, Phil Birch, had to play UFS every like weekend, you would give up on it, man. You would not want to do it.
I just don't want to do that.
I don't think that's the thing for you. You know, like I want to just like keep building bullshit. You're like, I built this deck 2 days ago. Fred said it's pretty cool, and then I'm gonna blow some people's faces off.
I didn't even build my Scorpion deck. I just took it. I just took it from my buddy and changed like 6 cards. It was like, we got to do this. This will be fine. But no, I guess in that same token, I use like the PTCs as like an outlet to like travel and stuff. So like my whole year is just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like losing my mind at home. It's crazy. Like, I know we've been playing a fair amount of video games together, but like, I am losing my goddamn mind. This is like, because this is like prime travel for PTC season.
Yes.
This is like the summer months are like, you get like a whole bunch of them kind of clustered together. Like, I think we'd be smack dab in the middle of about 6 of them, like right now. Because there would have been like, there's like 2 in June I was going to go to. There was like 1 in July, 2 in August. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Like 5 PTCs in 3 months. We're going to be traveling a bunch. It's going to be cool. And now it's like, I get to work 2 days a week. That's it.
Right. Yeah. You got to pick up gardening, man. It's been keeping Natasha sane.
I have been, I mean, I did some yard work today. I wouldn't call it gardening. I would call it picking up after my asshole dog, but you know, it was something.
Just next time you pick up that piece of poop, right? You got to put it in a bag with some dirt and put a seed in it. There you go. Fertilized.
Yeah, fertilize it. Yes. My dog is eating very healthy to get the fertilizer rolling.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, most of my playing, because I like skip a lot of the PTCs. I travel to like the ones that are nearby me. Like I went to Atlanta, and I go to the majors, and I go to my local one. But I don't do like a ton of that travel. I probably could have this year because I'm not working at all, really.
Yeah.
But like for me, I live for the locals. I live for Deck Brewing with my local guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So these like legendary wolf tournaments have been okay for me to flex my brain and just do stupid shit.
Yeah, because you're not one to play typically the same thing that I've seen very like frequently. I've never seen you, I guess, stick with one thing and one idea and carry it. Like your Quan Chis, you even had several different Quan Chis throughout the course of Quan Chi. You like at least a million different versions, I'm sure, have flown in and out of your head, because I've heard of several of like the weird offshoot ones that never like really get the cut, like trying to kill people with his stupid ultra. It's bad.
well, yeah. I like to explore like the different things that the character can do. I guess I played the same one at Omaha and then at Nats. But the Omaha list was like 15 cards bigger. I just took a pile. I took like an 82 card deck to the PTC. It was a monstrosity. But then for my PTC, I played Death, a completely different symbol. And then at Worlds, I took a life list with like hand cannons and into puppeteers and shit. And pea shooter. Fuck yeah,
big pea shooter guy. This guy.
Big pea shooters, big peepees. But yeah, no, I don't like to play the same thing most of the time. Just because locally it gets annoying to play against the same decks, right? Like I've had that sort of mentality where we're all just trying to like goof on each other, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like this week, I'm trying to stack a Cassandra, just because I can.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Well, I put blueprints in the deck so I could go search for noobs and then play it into a shotgun.
Yeah.
But I wanted to play that Amy reversal that has gauge 3 on it, and I was like, how do I get paid for gauge? And I was like,
play an extra Cassandra for
yeah,
no
play
reason?
an extra Cassandra, and then I'll play Albion, and then I could just pick up the 0 mid block whenever I feel like it.
I guess that's fair, man. But I think that I guess from that perspective, like this whole online gaming thing is probably it's probably perfect for you, because at this point, like, I don't do much of the online UFSing, so like I'm like hard locked out of new content,
Right.
like, because we haven't had a release in, I think they just maybe released a new DLC pack. Like I thought I saw stores getting a new DLC pack. I could be wrong on that one. I thought Legendary Wolf got something to that extent.
I think they did.
But it's like that was months. That was since basically
nothing.
February, right?
Yeah.
So like for somebody who plays mostly with like hard copies of cards and not much online, like the lack of release dates and the lack of like released products coming out because of like the cut distribution is I guess affecting my creative itch more so. I'm not much of a creative guy anyway. I usually just pick a deck and then like try and make it as good as possible. That's typically my shtick. Or I find something broken and play it. But like for you, you get to like, I guess because of like TTS and like all the online like, I guess capabilities, they have like all of the like the DLCs. They have all these promos that nobody has, like,
right. Yeah,
and you can just work around with those.
Yeah, it's probably great for people who don't have like huge libraries too, you know, like there's definitely people who are still like, I don't want to pay fucking $400 for a playset of Moonset, but now they can play an order deck if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not limiting on that front, right? Like anybody can play anything. Like I know Osai's a guy who's like, I don't know if I want to play a deck that I don't have the cards for it. I'm like, why not, dude? It's not like you're gonna be playing anywhere else this year.
Yeah, you can't really. You can't really fucking. There's no other options.
Yeah,
like,
shove in those fancy revokes, man.
Yeah, there's no other options right now. Your options are literally like your online tournaments.
Yeah,
which is like, I guess it's not necessarily like a bad thing. Like I don't perceive them doing the online events as a bad thing. I think it actually works out perfectly, I guess, to like not necessarily bridge the gap, because like there isn't really bridging. Like you can't I can't foresee them doing like an online nationals. I think that would be too much of a clusterfuck.
Yeah, there's no way.
But like you do get the ability to have some community like representation. You get to have like some of your like big fans and stuff like that, or people who want to like mess around with it, especially in a time when you have to like willingly admit that there is basically no universes this year. You have to, like, they literally had to go, hey guys, that's it. There's nothing. Like, which probably includes no My Hero this year.
Yeah.
You're basically only going to get the release, like the releases of DLC that they already have on hand. So like if they already had them printed and shipped, which I'm sure they have some in the wings, just mostly because like I don't think it's effective for them to have just printed like say the Grim packs by themselves. It's probably not as efficient as going, hey, we have 4 or 5 DLCs lined up in a row and just print them all. But like you're losing out, like the company's losing out on pretty much all of that. So you have to have something to like be like, hey guys, we still are thinking about like you guys as, I guess, as a community and stuff, you know? Yeah. I know they've been releasing like a weekly like web series or bi-weekly or however often they do the Joffus, but it's nice to be like, all right, here we go, guys. We have this online event where we have actual prizes as well for you guys. We'll work out the kinks as we go kind of thing, but here's something fun for you guys to do. And being online, you don't have to be the guy that happens to have a set of like Trinity Geysers, which at their peak were going for like $60, right. $60 to $80, you know? Like you don't have to be that. You could just be like, well, let me just throw 4 of these virtual ones into my fun deck and see if we can do it, you know?
Right.
So I think that they have handled, I guess, the pandemic about as well as they could have. just from their size as a company, because I believe that like bigger games are still having releases. Obviously they're not having tournaments, but they have like, if they are having tournaments, they typically have the software or like mechanic to actually run them, like MTG Arena or like the Pokemon Online game and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and UFS, I mean, they would have to do so much work to put this game online, like truly online, not just like on tabletop simulators. So I think with the hand that Jasco has dealt, I think they're doing about as well of a job as they can. You know, like Tim's doing regular outreach with these Javas episodes. They are still putting out this DLCs. They have like cool promos they were coordinating after, you know, Miles picked up the slack with these online tournaments. Like that's been godsend for them too, because it's like it generates interest, right? People are still interested in the game, and that's what you want to do, right? But they have the experience, right? Like I remember people always tell me about like the year or two that there was no sets after Red Horizon.
Yeah. Honestly, like you could even look back before that to when like Fantasy Flight Games just dropped the game, and like Jason had to purchase it. Basically, I mean, Jason purchased the game. Like he did that. That did happen, but like between him purchasing the game and like the set that had been released previously, there was probably at least a year and a half of nothing. I want to say even more of just nothing new. Or maybe like one set, but it was still like a Fantasy Flight set that got released somewhere in that like shuffle. They're like for someone who like I've experienced it all at this point, like this is just kind of par for the course for me, because like early releases of Jasco games were so shaky anyway of like when you were going to get the cards, that like it was very pushed around and like very spread out, sporadic. The only difference between then and now would be like actual like events, right? Because there were still events then. It was just stuff was a little bit more spread out. But you also had like the previous sets of like the Fantasy Flight era stuff still was in the meta. Like they didn't just like, all right, we have the game, let's cut all this shit out, and we just have Red Horizon and Red Horizon 2 or whatever.
Right.
Now, eventually they did cut all those out. I think they cut those out when they released their KOF sets, I believe, is when they were like, hey, no more like Tekken. Tekken doesn't exist, and neither do these Soul Calibur sets. Previous Soul Calibur sets. I think it was like Soul Calibur 3 or 4. Whichever one had Hildy in it. I don't fucking know. I'm not a Soul Calibur guy, but
probably 4.
But yeah, like they've, for what it's worth, they have like even rotated sets, like the way they are rotating has made like the lack of necessarily like super consistent release schedule very palatable in my opinion.
Right.
People really like to meme on the post Cowboy Bebop stuff, but then they like to neglect to remember that like Red Horizon 1 through all the KOF sets had ridiculous attacks in them too, and ridiculous cards in them. They like to like just conveniently forget that all those cards existed. Like Divine Tribulation was a card that was a Desperation 3 multiple 1/14 damage attack basically. They just forget that existed. Or like Harnessing Chaos existing and stuff like that. They people are very quick to get on the Jasco games for like, man, wow, Cowboy Bebop ruined the meta, when in reality, like they just printed like 3 or 4 week sets back to back. And then like an actual real set came back to fruition once they got, I guess, testing back under their own terms. Because like for a while there, it wasn't them making the sets. Like they had like, I think they had like somebody else helping with the sets from like within the community. So it's like they had to get their own balancing under control. And honestly, I don't see a problem with it. I think people that are mad about it are just bad usually. So
mad because bad.
That's just honesty. If you're mad about it, you're just not good. So if you weren't winning before, you're just mad now because things do more damage and it hurts your chances of winning less because you don't want to block and play the game.
Well, take the other side of it. Like dying to Downward Spiral on turn 1 is
Downward Spiral is
an
bullshit
experience. Yeah, it's an experience. And you know, like there's definitely like I said, outliers. You know, like I think that it could just be fixed with a bunch of erratas, just things that were a little bit too much, like Meteor should probably destroy a committed foundation, a ready foundation, so you can't just infinite with true identities, right?
Yeah.
Hellfire probably shouldn't ready things that have already been readied, Spiral probably shouldn't discard a card from your hand. It's the finisher, right? Why does it have to be the support card and the finisher?
I think that of those cards, like of all of the big things that people find as outliers, and I'm fairly true for this for most of the game's existence. Like I'm quick to say things need to get banned, but I also think that there should be time frames on those bans, and they should be looked at in a spectrum of the meta.
Right.
Like
you think you should bring them back if they're like?
I think they could be brought back, assuming they aren't meta destroying cards. Like a card like Gemini Man never needed to be reprinted as like a Gemini Man 2 dot, because then it constricted the ability for Gemini Man 1 to be playable at all. Like you can't have him anymore because there's 8 of them you can have in your deck now.
Yeah.
But like a card like him was only a stat check. He just threw stats onto cards.
Right.
And like when they banned him, he was ridiculous because the meta was so slow. It was a very slow meta, very methodical meta, and it eventually adding all those cards, like all the stats, meant you could win. But like as soon as they released Cowboy Bebop, like he could have just busted out and been like, "Hey, I'm still getting one shot by these guys just like you are." Like I think that was like I just don't think that you need to be stuck in prison forever if you're banned, which is why I really didn't support that they gave these characters like 2 dots.
Yeah,
because like you played against the Huitzel guy, like that, him having a 2 dot and then them making a mechanic of gauge ruins the fact like Huitzel 1 can't exist anymore.
Oh, I played all 3 of the Huitzels.
Oh,
in that tournament. Yeah.
Wow, remarkable.
Yeah,
and I bet they were all stacking. I'm sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they were all playing different decks, right? Like there was a fire, an earth, and a void one. Literally all 3 symbols, right? And they were all doing gauge shit, right? Like just because that's nuts, right? Like those 2 characters are not ever meant to be played at the same time.
They were not meant to be in the same deck or in the same format or exist together in any sort of way.
Yeah.
And the way to fix that isn't like if you wanted to bring these cards back, you keep them as 1 dots and you errata them like they did with. I actually think they gave Liu Kang and Quan Chi 2 dots for no reason. I don't know why they gave them a second dot, which just means Quan Chi 1 and 2 are banned, but they're the same character card. Doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. All you have to do is go, okay, this is Gemini Man 1 with an errata.
Yeah, that's what an errata.
We printed it in platinum. He now just gives either speed or damage +1 based on stacks or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just like from a creator's mind, you're like, how do I reimagine this support, right? Like, I get it, like Huitzel 1 wants you to like partial or not block things, right? And then Huitzel 2 is like, I don't care if you block it, it's going to deal damage. So all of Huitzel's support still
but Huitzel only had 2 cards of support.
Okay, fair enough.
his support was Genocide. Yeah. Oh, he had 3 cards of support. He had Genocide Vulcan, Killing Dinosaurs, and a Walking Weapon.
Okay.
Those are his only 3 cards of support. So them going, all right, we have to fucking deal with this guy's support.
Well, don't look at it about have to, right? It's more like I want, like you want to, as a creator, right? They're probably like, oh, how do we reimagine this guy's stuff, right? In a way that's healthier. All these forehand size instead of.
But like none of his stuff, I guess, particularly synergizes with the 2 dot anyway.
Well, Killing Dinosaurs does, right? Theoretically, people's reaction to Huitzel in general is just to not block him, right?
Yeah.
Because if you block, he replays the card, and you're going to take full damage anyway. So Killing Dinosaurs puts damage at the block step at a point where they cannot interact with it, really.
I guess that's fair.
Unless it's something like Kuwabara. Right, so and same with Genocide Vulcan, right? Like not having an enhanced step is good for him because then they can't do all the things to interact with it. So like
I suppose that's correct. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Maxi's another like good reimagining, I think. Right, they just gated his abilities really and changed the way they worked.
I am totally for the reimagining of their abilities. I don't like that they give them a 2 dot.
Yeah,
just keep them as a 1 dot.
Yeah, keep it as a 1 dot. And you avoid all the problems with the retro format with these stacking characters that do that. Like the only reason Gemini 1 is banned is because of 2. And the only
he's only banned because Gemini 2 exists and Gemini 2 isn't good.
Yeah, and Huitzel 1 is probably going to get banned in this format because
Gemini 2 exists. Or Huitzel 2 exists.
Yeah,
it's like
exists. Yeah. I don't think he's like super offensive by himself anymore. Like it's the situation where you're describing where Gemini Man 1 was nuts because all the cards were like a little more tame and he made things. It didn't matter what it was because I put stats on it.
Yeah.
Right. So like what's a 1 is fine. He's just putting stats on things and having 2 hand size. All Might does that, right? And All Might does that on command without having to draw a specific really usable card. So yeah, I'm with you there. But unfortunately, seeing that stuff from our perspective now is just straight up 2020 hindsight. At the time.
I've so been an advocate of Gemini Man being off the ban list for fucking years now.
Okay, fair enough.
I literally thought he didn't need to be banned. When he got banned, I was like, I understand. Okay, that's fine. And then they kept printing cards, and I was like, okay, can we take him off now? Like he's just here. He's just hanging out with the boys.
Word.
Like, because there was up until Gage. Once Gage exists, I was like, okay, well, it's too late anyway. But also probably don't want a really good stacking character to be able to stack for free.
Yeah, but they kind of reimagined him with Suzaku too.
Just Suzaku. He's basically the same thing.
Yeah. He just chooses one instead. It's literally the Phil Birch method,
He's one or the other, and he's roughly the same character.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm okay with it. I get it. I just don't. I think the retro format needs to look at. It's hard to broad strokes things because instead of looking at 1,000 cards maybe in the meta, I think that's about roughly where we are. You're looking at probably close to 3.
Yeah.
So it's hard to imagine all the interactions, all the things that need to be looked at, all of the this, that, and the other. Because I know Jasco or Legendary Wolves tried it a couple different times, and then the very first one, and I think it's okay to go no champ cards. I think that's totally reasonable. I don't get it completely, but I think it's reasonable to be like, hey, we didn't really design these, so keep them out.
Right.
But the first Legendary Wolf one, my character card was banned, but then 3 other characters that did the exact same thing as mine, but probably better, weren't banned. And I was like, well, that seems weird. And it's literally just, okay, well, we looked at a list and we decided as it was probably him, Shane, probably maybe 2 other people just looked at it and went, this is fine. Whereas that's probably the same thing that happened for this new retro event where they probably had Tim Freely talk with Miles, talk with a couple other people and be like, what do you think about this? These guidelines. And they were probably like, oh yeah, that looks fine. Because you can't test for all of this,
Right.
So I'm sure they weren't like, man, you know what people are going to do? Throw gauge attacks in Huitzel and just shit on kids. They're not going to do that. Yes, they are. They absolutely will. But without looking at it though, I didn't really go through the roster, I suppose. I feel like it was more of a surprise to not see some stuff that was previously banned.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned Vespera.
And even Iori too. Iori 2 was an absolutely broken card.
Yeah.
When it on its release and then the tournament that Dave won his character card with. It didn't even get banned for that, by the way, somehow. But I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find this if there was a list of what was played and what wasn't real quick. I get a quick peek at, but I don't think there is.
I've got a character breakdown for you.
Yeah, if you've got a character breakdown real quick, that'd be awesome. But Iori 2 and then cards like Piercing Howl probably shouldn't have made their way back into a retro format. Just because they wow, this list is actually wild.
Yeah, dude.
This is a wild list. Literally would not have expected. You're kidding me. Okay, so nobody played anything that was old because nobody had ever played those cards before.
Yeah, because they didn't have them. I mean, I have a Kyo deck, I guess, that I tooled around with, but I went through all the characters and I was just like, this looks like I'm gonna have to read a lot of their support, and I don't want to do that. You know?
No, that's totally reasonable, and I think that's probably a way that people approached it.
Mm. But like even like Kevin Broberg and I were like sparring on the way up to the event, and
Stop
he
that.
was playing like a Yoshimitsu deck, right? So like
Was there a Yoshimitsu in this?
No, he didn't play at the tournament.
He was just playing like beforehand with you.
Yeah, and like so I think it's just new characters are bonkers, man. Like compare some of these newer characters to some of the older characters.
Yeah, but like, okay, so I guess here's the perfect example for me. Vespera herself wasn't like an obscenely broken character card. Like she was very good, very defensive, did probably everything you wanted to do. Paralyzing Touch was a meta-defining card. It was actually insane. It was broken. It was literally nuts with her. Mm-hmm. They didn't ban Paralyzing Touch, and nobody looked at Vespera.
Yeah, because Paralyzing Touch is not that great. Checks it too.
Paralyzing Touch is great. Stun 2, destroy 1 reversal, dude.
You don't get to destroy their thing anymore. It's errata. They choose.
Yeah, but it still destroys 1.
Discards itself.
It gets rid of 3 things.
So I tried the Vespera deck because everybody was talking about it, and I was just like, this card doesn't kill anybody. And Stun 2 is not like...
No, she definitely kills people, right?
No way, dude. I'm telling you. I actually play... who did I play? I played Will Howard's Vespera deck, and I just yeeted all the random stuff that has safe on it at him. He was like, oh, great. I guess I don't get to play.
Well, that's the beauty of it, though. That's the beauty of it. She doesn't actually have to kill you on your turn.
Yeah, I know. She doesn't have to. But
you just block and pick up attacks for your next turn.
Right, but she's cutting herself. The reversals in general are not as good at murdering people as, just playing like Shadow Slicers, she should have a game plan for killing you, right? Like the list that I was running had like shotguns and stupid death shit to try to really screw them on my turn too. But I don't know.
I feel like she's nuts, but I guess it's just we can agree to disagree on this one. But I just I looked at her and I was like, well, when I heard people weren't playing her, I guess I was like, oh, okay, well, she can just do the same thing she was doing before with like all of her shit. Yeah. And then she can also play like all of Kurama's stuff that is like all big kind of like buffs and stuff like on its own. Like attacking with Kurama stuff is always is good actually. Like he doesn't give a shit if it's a reversal. It's like it is still good.
Yeah.
But like I could see where you could go, okay, well, stuff's more devastating now, stuff's more it does more damage, shit like that, and just be like, all right, this isn't the way to go about it. It's just, I guess, more so that I don't know if like that was a product of people not trying it, or if that was a product of
there's probably a few
people just going, I want to read my new cards and not
my old cards. If you look at this list, it's mostly like with the exception of the 5 Dimitris, right? Like it's a lot of Unga Bunga, right? 3 Cassie Cage.
There were 5 Dimitris. Holy shit!
Yeah, there were 5 Dimitris, right? 4 Goro, 2 Takeda, a Dark One, a Vicious. I don't know what Sirith is, right? But like,
that's one of the Angel guys.
Kung Jin, right? It's a lot of like.
It's very Unga Bunga.
Yeah, I want to blow your face off because of all the cool killing tools that Retro gives you. There's so much more stuff now, right? Yeah. So like it's more attractive to try to go do something like bunkers and kill your opponent than it is to just like make this wall, right? Like it's less exciting to do that, right? So that's one thing,
I
right?
agree.
Is that it's less exciting to play Vespera than it is to stack Trinity Geyser as Takeda and put it onto your Shirayukan.
That's fair. That's very reasonable.
The second thing is that she doesn't have like on her face, she doesn't have something that says like, this is what I do, right? Apart from reversals, right? And that means you have to go do a bunch of research to figure out how this works.
People would actually have to figure it out because the way I'm looking at it, K-Dash also wasn't banned.
No. And
K-Dash is also nuts.
He's crazy.
I could see where you like, it's easier to just read like herp derp aggro-y guys and go, all right, we're aggroing as opposed to like trying to find your pieces, I guess that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, I could see that. I could see that being a very reasonable thing to do.
As for Iori, I think a lot of people just thought that other people would be playing Iori. Like I was prepared for there to be a bunch of Ioris.
That's probably fair.
And I put a bunch of like I was saying, know the power of Abyss because I was just like, this guy's going to try to kill me on 2 every single time, and
That's
I want
fair.
to reversal their face off and stun them out. But there just weren't any. Like,
I
that
guess
happens
that's.
sometimes.
I would say that happens in the game anyway, so I guess that's totally reasonable. Like when you think of a deck as like an absolute like really good deck, and then none or one of them show up to an event, and you're like, oh, well, that's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you get the skeptical people who don't want to play a deck that other people are playing because they're like maybe necessarily not as confident on the deck, or they're just trying to like avoid diversity altogether, which I know is a strategy that some people want to use anyway. Because like,
right,
if I can squeak in at 14th place with my weird deck, maybe I can make a run and I didn't have to like have as stressful of a day preparing for X, Y, and Z matchups that are like, but. No, not everybody wants to run like the Quan Chis and the Jettas and like the Tim Keeps of the world all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you want to accidentally play Scorpion and it do really well, being like the only Scorpion there or whatever.
Right. That's a funny thing too. Is there's no Scorpions in this list either.
Yeah, actually, that is also surprising because there are like I was talking about, Divine Tribulation is not banned, and that is a hell of a card.
Yeah, there's so many crazy desperation cards in retro.
Like
so many, man.
A hell of a card. Like I like, yeah, it's just like you gotta like, I guess you look at it and you go, all right. Yeah, I don't know, man. You just gotta weigh it with the bag because like Navos is a card. Divine Tribulation's a death card with reversal. It's just like, or a death card with desperation rather. And it's just like those 2 cards would happily fit into any Scorpion deck right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's the nature of they put out the ban list, right? And I guess there were like a couple weeks in between it, right? But there wasn't a whole lot of time to go and like.
Yeah.
There's so many cards, right? Like, so
yeah, you're not going to dumpster dive all the way to the bottom of the retro format and find it when you could just find something that looks good and throw. Yeah.
You can take Goro,
a couple pieces,
and look at some of those. Yes, that's what I did with Takeda, right? I was just like, I'm going to slap 3 Trinity Geyser and 1 Heaven's Punishment in here, and those are the only.
I saw you had like a student. I think it was called a Student Observer.
Yeah, a Student Observer. But that's
they're like, all right, I cannot let my cards get destroyed now. Like, perfect. This is the perfect little piece for that. Yeah, it's reusable, like fucking destruction tech, which is destruction's pretty rampant now. So
yeah,
it's good to have.
Yeah, and most of the stuff that I had in from retro was just like old tech, like the Pop Star Foundation.
J-Pop Star, yeah,
J-Pop Star. Astute Observer, like you mentioned, but no, I think that was most of it.
In your tri-symbol Takeda deck.
And my tri-symbol Takeda. My favorite bit about that deck is that I sideboarded Bell and Kuwabara for like stupid shit, like people trying to kill me with big shots. I had Bell because she turns off. She just like, no, stop enhancing. Yeah. And then Kuwabara is really good into like the Whitzels, and in theory, if you don't draw 5 attacks on turn 2, and into Iori for me was a big one.
Yeah,
I was like, I can just face tank all of it because I got big beefy health, and you can't actually like most of his attacks are like 4 to 6 damage.
Yeah, they're not exactly super beefy attacks.
And his loop is brutal. There's no bang for them to really deal with. Yeah. I thought that Earth wasn't going to be as popular. But No, the Power of the Abyss has fire for Takeda, and that's the off symbol for Takeda. But when I sideboard into Bell or Kuwabara, it becomes Earth is the sideboard. So I have to think about how that chaining works. And it came
I was looking at it, and I was like, the deck is a nightmare when you were playing. I was like, he's got Caden's blindfold in here for the Meteor meme. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah. And that was a last-minute addition, too. I was just like, I'm playing for Meteor. I may as well throw a Caden's blindfold in.
That's
whatever. Fair. Yeah, you may as well. It loops it. It's
It's like a little, like a soft loop of sorts, almost like, I guess it's pretty much just a loop, right?
It's
like
just a loop. Yeah. You just sacrifice that one. You just fucking tap to play it.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. That's a pretty nice little fucking wombo combo.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how did you see, I guess, being the one that could like actually participated in it, besides like the diversity of characters, how did you like think it like ran, I guess? What were your opinions of a strictly online UFS tournament?
They had like,
which had like what, 40 people?
It was like 37 or something like that. There
Yeah.
were quite a few. It was a lot of dudes. It was a big PTC if you think of it that way. Right?
Yeah, no, that is a big PTC.
Yeah. I mean, like Suave or whatever his name is, he like curates the tabletop simulator mods, and he like put in a timer in each room. He has like all the sets in the other like mod. So that stuff is great and makes it really, really simple and easy. Like the user interface is great. From like the way that the tournament was run, it was fine. They had like a Discord they made for it with a bunch of tables because you need to do that. My favorite bit is that they misspelled Judge Room and it says Judge Roo.
Judge Roo. Okay.
Judge Roo. That's the Judge Roo. There's a results page. There's a judge. If you need to call the judge, you add the judge, right? So they had like they thought it out. There were some snafus, right? Like some people were like, "Hey, my point total is wrong," and everything's on fire all the time because it's Jasco at HQ, and they're just like, "We fixed the point total," and we're like, "Where's the repair?" And they're like, "No repair."
no repairing. This isn't nationals. We don't care that much.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah, it's fine, but it's fix the software. Just use some good software. Tim would come in and like right, because on Discord you could ping everyone. You can just at everyone. There's 30 minutes left. At everyone less than 5 minutes, and then
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they had it pretty streamlined in that sense. And
that's actually not bad. Yeah,
it worked out. It worked out. It works out better when you have a second screen. I can't imagine one guy like trying to alt tab into like looking at the Discord. I just had it on my third screen. I was just like, yeah, there it is. I have this much time.
Yeah, just like look over here.
Yeah.
Like how so for your I'm guessing what 37 people, about 6 rounds, something like that?
It was 6 rounds, yeah.
How long was your 6-round online UFS tournament?
Oh boy, it started at noon and ended at 8.
Okay, so really not that bad.
30. Yeah, it was around 8 hours. There was no break though.
Okay.
No like manufacturer break. There was a break when they were trying to figure out their points, which happened like 2 or 3 times when somebody's points were wrong. But yeah, it was a little bit longer because like the rounds were a little longer. I think there were 70 minutes instead of 60. Or 50 minutes. It was like 70, 75 minutes that they gave everybody for setting up and all that stuff. But yeah, it was fine. And then I got washed out of Top Cuts.
Hey, that'll happen.
It happens. Happens to the best of us, and I'm definitely not the best of us.
Sure fucking does. Sure fucking does. That's okay. So that's, I mean, do you envision them trying to do anything like big for that? Like, I don't see them doing like a nationals, but like, would you see them saying maybe, okay, we have, say they call it 8 pods of 40 people, and then that turns into a top 8, and they call that a nationals top 8.
They could, right? I mean, like, there's the proof is in the pudding. If you have more people showing up for this thing than like your average PTC, that's a win for them, right?
Yeah.
And it was not cheap. It was $40, right? So 37 dudes were like, I'll pay
what the
40.
fuck do you get for $40?
I get like a box. If you look at it that way, you get half of a box, and then like Top Cuts split the prize pool.
What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Participation. Oh, you got 4 of the Robot Masters promos you're going to get. 1 box of your choice from a selection of these bad sets that are all rotating soon.
I'm just going to get the league kit because it has shiny, fancy, what's
Cage Fighter?
The Cage Fighter and like
Spinning Pile Driver?
Spinning Pile Driver.
Dude, it only comes with 1 of each.
I know, but I can coordinate with like my friends. I think we had one between our play group as well.
That's
that we were sort of picking out of. But we want that 4th shiny spinning pile driver.
Okay, so you got 4 zaps and 5% of pot and credit on website.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I guess that's not too bad. 5% is probably a decent chunk.
Yep.
All right.
$38. You can't go infinite though. I got mad about that. I want to go infinite, you know?
Oh, you wanted to get $40 in credit and enter it?
Yeah, but they won't let me do it.
Are they like, you can't use credit to enter? Is that the
Can't use credit to enter. Cannot. Wow. I know. That was my chief complaint.
Whack.
Yeah.
That's whack.
Yeah. After playing all 3 Whistles, they're not gonna let me go infinite, bro.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
After playing all of the Huitzels, you can't play more.
Come on, man.
They're like absolutely not.
Oh man. It was
4
Brian
Goros.
Harris was playing a Whistle that I thought was double symboled the entire time until I figured out that Turnout has Earth. Like I was like, is this an air deck?
There's only 2 Huitzels in here, apparently.
No, there's 3. There was Coran Sloss who was playing from the UK. Brian
This
Harris.
says Huitzel 1, 2.
There's 3. Oh, that's wrong. There's 3 of them.
Oh.
There were actually 3 of them.
There were actually 3 of them. Okay.
Yeah, maybe one of them signed up late or something. Or they just forgot in classic Jasco fashion. They're just like, here's a 2 instead of a 3.
Yeah, I was looking at a fucking one of the pairings from Worlds that they posted, and it was clearly not the right round or even like visible. Like they took it on a potato camera.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, this looks right. This is good, Jasco.
So they are actually a small indie company, right?
Yeah, this is small. This is actual small indie company stuff right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you change maybe about the retro format, like ban wise? Like, would you like to see anything particular besides like Huitzel 1 go on to it? Did you think anything else was particularly too good to like?
I don't even know if Huitzel was
or what?
Like the Huitzel deck wasn't even like that egregious to me. It was just annoying, right?
Yeah.
Like, and annoying to me isn't on the same like level as like suffocating or
it's not
egregious.
fucking the attack that got to play over and over again in Cassandra. I forget its name.
Yeah, shielded bang.
Yeah,
it's not that level. Like I think that Caden's blindfold should probably be taken out so that I don't have to dedicate 8 pieces of tech to saying no to that.
Oh, because that I'm sure that was something that more than just you were doing, I'd assume.
Oh yeah, there were decks like the Cassandra was playing was just playing 4 blindfold, 4 of the meteor and then some other attacks, right? But like that's a legitimate thing. You just play Terry and you block everything because he gets to just loop his Cormorants and then he kills you with a blindfold loop of just checking 5s. I know that Alex Marco has like a Joe deck where he's only playing 4 meteors. That's
fair.
That's all you need if you're gonna loop it, right? You just
you just got to do the Cassandra where you just maximize your checks to be just 5s and then fucking loop out your attack, and they can't really stop you unless they have, I guess, revoke.
There's tons of things that hit it. I was using Ominous Prophecy to add the blindfold to their momentum. You could.
I'm sure it's all stuff they have tech for anyway in their decks, particularly.
Yeah. There's tons of things to answer it, but that doesn't mean that it's like it's no fun to stare at somebody and be like, oh, I got you. Like I got to play the same. Looping that's easy like that is no fun. I think that they should probably just add in the promos again. Like I don't think Bang not being in the format is a good thing.
Oh wait, Bang was just. Oh okay, because it was no box toppers, right?
Yeah, no box toppers, no promos. No
Weird.
characters. I think that the characters should not be in. I may be an outlier there, but I understand people like if you're J Ray and you're like I want to play as J Ray, that's all he wants to do is play as himself, and that's cool. Like listen, I'll play with myself just as much as the next guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like an entirely other level of more burden of knowledge, right?
Yeah, you have to know what all the champ cards do as well, which is another.
And they're all named really weird shit, like over the moon or something like that. Like there's
when the moon comes over the mountain.
Yeah, sure. There's all these cards that I have no idea what the fuck they do, and I'll wax poetic about it with like Kevin Broberg and stuff. But I don't want to play with it.
Dude, you'd love when the moon comes over the mountain. That card's the best card ever. That card has got so much going for it, man.
Could not be me, dude. I wouldn't play it because it's called When the Moon Came Over the Mountain.
You'd play it because if you didn't play it, you'd be losing the game.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
You had to play it. It was one of those.
Yeah, but beyond that, it's just
literally splashed index. Like
holy shit.
It was a 4-symbol action that you've played in any deck that could play it. My Death Despair deck played 4 of them.
Neat. Because you could.
Exactly. It removes itself from the game, man. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think I am on the same wavelength as you when it comes to promos.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think they necessarily are needed. The only one that I actually think would be needed would be Bang, and I think that's kind of the weird part about it. Because in my head, I'm like, I don't really give a shit. Most box toppers are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But like Bang is just that one box topper that they made that was like, yeah, you probably want to play this in your deck. Like you probably need this in your game just for like a balancing factor.
Yeah. I mean, I was able to put Kuwabara on my sideboard because Bang wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
So I know the card is super contentious and people don't like it or they love it, but like even if you hate it, you understand that it's kind of necessary sometimes. Like staring at an Iori with a Bang in hand is way different, than not. Like having the right cancels or something like that. Like sometimes some you want to just have some sort of no, hey, stop it,
Yeah, you need some way of stopping people from just killing you.
Yeah. So that's what I feel. And then the same stuff that I would get rid of in standard, fucking downward spiral.
The great downward spiral hater of our generation, man.
I hate that card, man. I hate that card so much. It does too much.
I actually just want to build only downward spiral decks, honestly. So I am honestly on the same spectrum of it's a really good card because I want to build only downward spiral decks.
Well, for like a lot of I've been complaining about it since it came out, and I was like, I don't think it needs the Void Enhance to be good, right? So I just started shoving it in shit that could just give it speed, like Raptor and Spike 1, and it's just as effective, right? Like it's still a nuts card, and I don't think it's bannable if you just take off the part where it does all the things that Void wants to do in one neat little package.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
and
maybe Slicer. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, you're good. I don't really actually have a ban list that I think like even needs to be like existent right now. I don't have anything where I'm like that needs to go on it typically actually. Like I think they did a good job of addressing it post Worlds. Realistically, in my opinion, I think they did a pretty fine job on the things I thought were supreme outliers. And I think that getting rid of those things doesn't necessarily mean Shadow Slicer is any better than it was before.
Right.
Like, I think it's just as good as it was. And I don't know. Like, Shadow Slicer and fucking Downward Spiral didn't get better because these bans happened.
Right.
They were already as good as they are right now. And I think that, like, yeah, you have the ability to get, like, turned one by Shadow Slicers. Or not Shadow Slicer, Downward Spiral. But, like, it's not like it's the most super consistent thing unless you're playing, like, a Tim Keefe deck, I guess. Which then fuck you, I guess. You just kill them or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm kind of okay with I think I'm okay with the meta. I haven't really gotten to experience it recently, and I certainly haven't got to experience it in a big DLC fashion. Like, I don't particularly know all the DLC cards, but it's looked okay to me. Like, I even thought Worlds meta was fine outside of Shield Big Bang. Like, I think if Shield Big Bang didn't exist, I would have had a fine, like, I think Worlds would have been fine on its own with just that one ban, realistically.
Right. I would have still been attacked turn one.
Yeah, I mean, but like I think that's just UFS now. I don't think you can really avoid that. I think there are always going to be people who are trying to attack you on turn one with a bunch of 6 checks in their deck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can fix that part of UFS because, like, technically it's always been around, but it's just been less rewarding because attacks didn't do 20 damage on turn one. But
yeah,
it's the, like, the balancing factor of that is, like, you also aren't building typically unless you're just like a god gamer, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with getting turn one, I guess. Like, I've never had it like super happen to me. I think I'd be pissed that it did, but like I've never seen it as like the most bannable offense, I guess, in the game. Unless you were consistent kill on one. Like that Tiger Scream deck was pretty bonkers or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. I hear you. I don't like it. I think that
it's certainly way less skillful than I want to play, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
Could not be me.
If people are going to play turn one decks and try and kill me, I'll just run Scorpion at every event and then kill them on turn 2.
Well, I have a question for you. There's like Quan was banned because he makes design. He limits design space, right?
Yeah.
I think that like Gil kind of fits that criteria, right? He makes it so you can't make low keyword attacks.
Gil was just
right?
fucked up, honestly.
And then people are complaining about Takeda in retro, right? He limits design space because it's just cheater stuff.
Well, that's not necessary. Okay. So if they want to use the Takeda isn't limiting any design because those cards are already out way before Takeda.
Yeah. Well, no, but here, that's not the whole thing, right? But I think that Takeda is quote unquote like in the same like, I guess conversation of limiting design because he cheats, right?
Yeah.
He cheats in the same way that Quan did, where Quan got to be a 7-hand size that played 5-hand size abilities, and
right.
Like Takeda gets to cheat and not have to fulfill bonkers combo requirements, right? Like Trinity Geyser's requirement specifically is the one that everybody's I can't believe he does this. Do you think that Takeda is going to get banned eventually?
Like in normal UFS?
In
probably.
Regular standard? Yeah, just you think they're going to
either Takeda will get banned or combo. Either Takeda is going to get banned or combo attacks are forever going to be mediocre like they have been.
Yeah, I mean Takeda support, all of his combos are super like blah, right?
They're like very, very tame.
Yeah, they were like they knew that was a nuts mechanic, and they all have deadlock enhances because he has a combo that cheats deadlock too, right?
Yeah, but like now you get like now you're starting to breach into like, all right, Exploding Flame Roar is pretty good, or whatever that card's called, Exploding Flame Roar. Like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah. I think
they miss attack 6 damage for only needing one card behind it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and you build that card, you know?
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Yeah. So
like, I think we're like even as we like as cards come out, he's like one combo attack based character away from getting banned. Like they're gonna be like, wow, it's gonna be really cool if we make a fucking XYZ for My Hero Academia do combo attacks because they like really chain stuff in the show.
Right.
And then Takeda's gonna be like, oh, you mean your attack that's like combo do a trillion damage? Yeah, I'll just do that for free. It's fine.
Right. If something's like combo
and then I'll
character
do it twice.
Asset other character attack, right? Yeah. And then it says win the game, and he's just like, all right, I'll put that on this, okay?
Yeah, I'll just put this on this attack, and then I'll do it twice just because I want to win the game twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's just one of those like, I won't say poorly designed characters. It's like it's cool in a bubble, and like once that bubble gets burst, he becomes like too good.
Yeah.
And like I don't necessarily have a problem with like that existing. It's just like once it becomes too good, it needs to be addressed. And I think that's probably just the best way of looking at it.
Yep.
Looking at this banned in standard list and seeing Quan Chi 1 and Quan Chi 2 is actually tilting me.
And they were both banned by Florida men. Let that be known.
It literally says Quan Chi 1 and Quan Chi 2, and it is actually making me so triggered because it is the same character.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Also, this is so stupid. Napalm. Why is Napalm Man on this list of banned cards still?
Like old Napalm Man?
Yeah. He's banned in standard, so you can't play him in our retro format. Why? Who gives a shit? Let people play Napalm Man. You're letting them play Huitzel? Fuck it. Like, just because Huitzel rotated, you can play Huitzel now, but Napalm Man, you can't play him? Like, what? Stormwaff. Yeah, that card's going to break the game. Fucking Jesus. Some of these cards don't need to be on this list anymore. Anyway, that's my rant.
I think they're erring on the side of caution, right? And then they wanted to see what came out, and they can. Yeah. Like I know that Tim said something about bringing back some of the champion promos, bringing back some of the other promos. So I'm guessing they're gonna let it be wild and free. You know, they're gonna.
My guess would just like you said, my advice would just be fuck the promos, keep them off. But also like. I mean, it's their format. If they want to like risk it for the biscuit, introduce 50 new cards and just things they shouldn't have though are the King of Fighters promo pack. Don't put those back in because clandestine research is bullshit.
Yeah, keep that out. Keep that out for sure. I'm with you there. I think that Jasco has their ears a little bit too close to the pavement when it comes to the champions, because a lot of those guys are the guys they talk to all the time, and those guys, of course, are going to be totally unbiased when it comes to wanting to unban their things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for the general populace, it's just don't bring them back. It's too much. There's already so much there, and if you want to grow this thing, just like
yeah,
bring some exciting things in. But the champion promos had their time. Leave them there.
In my opinion, it's not long enough anymore, but that's just my personal opinion. I think they should still leave on the set they came in with, but I don't know. Fucking Tengu Dive getting to be in the meta like twice as long as my 2-dot character card is a bit sad.
Well, that's the fault.
I won my character with Tengu Dive, and he rotated like last year. Like, hold on, why is this card still in standard?
Right.
I don't know, man. I'd be interested to see this be like a format that they like really tout. Like, like the days used to be so hectic at like when the events were four events, when it was Legacy, Extended, and then like Standard and Teams. Like it was a lot, right? But like then again, it never forced you to play all those things. They never were like, hey man, you've got to play these.
Yeah.
But like I'd be interested to see like a retro event ran on like a random day that they have free. Like say they do it on like Thursday or whatever before the event. I don't even know if they're open on Thursday for the con, you know?
I would think that you should probably just keep them all online.
I think like a retro format is just the online format.
Just for UFS specifically, because it's not like Magic where there were so many boxes of everything and they do so many reprints and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
The biggest gate for playing retro is getting those older cards.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
And like, there's no way someone like me is going to get them. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they're not. And Jasco's not going to be like, all right, we don't have the license to King of Fighters, so let's reprint all these.
Yeah, they can't reprint.
They literally can't.
Yeah. So I think it should stay online, even past quarantine, like in the beautiful future of us having vaccines and all that stuff. Keep it online, dude, and keep that momentum. I think it's fine. I think that it worked out great. I think that the tournament was run great. I think everybody was fun and they had fun. I had fun.
Okay.
And it makes it exciting because it is something to like. It's different. And I don't have to worry about buying $60 Trinity Geysers.
So 2020 Retro Nationals when, dude? You know.
Yeah.
When's 2020 Retro Nationals, and we're playing for an asset or something, you know, or like a foundation. We're playing for a foundation like Old Legacy. What do we?
Old times. Yeah, I'd be down for it.
I'd be about it. I'd play it. I'd figure it out. I'd take the appropriate time off of work to play in a Retro Nationals event, and then I'd get my ass beat by everybody who has like a far bigger brain than me for this kind of stuff.
Well, we can coordinate. I'll bring you the big brain, and you can tell me that it's stupid and shove shadow slicers in it.
Every single time every Legacy event, I was so bad at, because Legacy was like big brain. You had to know 12 years worth of game, or 10 years, or whatever, 8 years worth of game, whenever the fuck their last Legacy event was. And I was like, Jeremy Ray, what if you just built me a Ken 2-dot deck that plays Zing, and we see what happens? And he was like, yeah, we can do that. It's like Zing and 8th Bill of Punishment or some shit. And it was like, you could play a lot of attacks in one turn and hopefully they die. But they probably won't because all their cards are bullshit. And it's like,
because they have nuts.
Hey, that's fair. Yeah. Legacy was always like a nightmare. So I'm glad that I think the retro series will function a lot better just because of the scale at which the UFS Jasco Games is designed.
Yeah.
It's not it hasn't far exceeded what it started at. It's kind of kept the course the whole time.
Yeah, there's some of this going on, but
and realistically, in comparison to how it used to be, it's more of a smaller up and down, whereas old UFS was such a fucking wee with sets, dude. You'd be like, all right, look at these 2 super sick sets, and then these 3 absolutely dog shit sets with no playable cards.
Right. And
then this super good broken set that has $60 box toppers, and you have to get it out of a starter box. And it was like, right. And here's these $50 promos because you can only get them at these super specific events. And it's like, guys, I can't play this game. I'm 13. 13-year-old me could not afford to play UFS. It was I wrote out the same deck for actually like 3 years, and it was a very cheap deck. It was good, it was cheap, and the meta did not accept it for very long.
No, you needed those $50 promos.
Dude, you really did. It was kind of fucked up. It was pretty disgusting, actually. It would be like if like store promos today were just the most broken cards in the meta. Like they just aren't, because they want people to be able to play the game. Though boy howdy, the way they originally announced store promos, it made it sound like they were going to be the most exclusive things ever back when they were like, when Spider Suplex was like a store promo. Holy shit. And they're not obviously exclusive at all.
Right.
Since it's in a set. I don't know, man. I feel like for a introductory episode, I feel like we covered some good topics, had a good conversation there, man.
Yeah, that works for me. I'm
feeling pretty good about that. I have no idea how long that was. You got to go to work. That was a good fucking long ass talk, honestly. So
yeah.
I think we call it there. We still got to figure out like a how we're gonna do this, like, you know, weekly, bi-weekly, whenever the fuck we feel like doing it. X, Y, and Z kind of shit. But I think that's a good spot for episode 1, guys. Episode 1 of Brewing with Birch and Bromley. Bringing you pretty much, as far as I could tell, the only information you will ever need about UFS is coming right here. This is
Don't
it.
need to go anywhere else for sure.
Nowhere else. Maybe Jasco games, but nowhere else. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to shout out Legendary Wolf Games anymore. Don't know if I'm under contract, but go and visit Legendary Wolf Games for all of your singles and also product needs. They have the best prices in town, also the best community and best owners. So Bromley doubles my sentiment, because I think he's also technically
just like go back 10
maybe.
seconds, repeat what Phil said, but imagine I was saying it.
Yep.
And shout outs to Max and Natasha taking a nap behind me.
Yeah, shout out to Max. He's somewhere barking. And Natasha is asleep. I think she moved.
She did. She snuck out.
I saw that.
She snuck out.
I saw the entire massive blankets shift slowly across the bed.
Yeah, we got to circle that in post.